The rainbow pin on my son's lapel caught the stadium lights like a tiny supernova exploding in the humid Alabama dusk. Right there on the 50-yard line where I'd once fumbled my life's biggest play. "Dad, this is me, us. Finally free," Jake whispered, his voice a raw blade slicing through the roar of the crowd, his eyes mirroring the storm I'd buried for decades. And as the diploma trembled in his grip, 40 years of locker room lies and midnight confessions crashed over me like a quarterback sack I never saw coming, pinning me to the turf of regret and revelation. I remember the exact scent of that graduation eve, fresh-cut grass mixed with the sharp tang of bug spray and the faint, forbidden whiff of Jake's cologne, something citrusy and bold that he'd started wearing to hide his nerves. We'd driven up from Mobile in my old Ford pickup, the one with the cracked dashboard and the bumper sticker reading "Roll Tide," that I'd slapped on back when I thought football could armor me against the world. Jake fidgeted in the passenger seat, his fingers drumming the armrest like he was calling an audible in the fourth quarter. He was 18 now, all lanky limbs and that mop of chestnut hair that fell just right over his forehead, the spitting image of me at his age, except for the quiet fire in his eyes, the kind that said he wasn't about to hide in the huddle. "Dad, you think Coach Harlan's gonna give that speech about team first again?" Jake asked, his voice light but laced with that edge, the one that had sharpened ever since he'd come out to me 6 months back, over a plate of Mama's fried okra in our shotgun house kitchen. I chuckled, keeping my eyes on the highway as the sun dipped low, painting the bayou bridges in strokes of orange and pink. "Every damn year, son. Man's got the playbook memorized like it's the Bible." But inside, my gut twisted. Coach Harlan, hell, the whole town, still saw me as Tommy Iron Reynolds, the state champ quarterback who'd led Fairhope High to glory in '85, the guy who'd married his high school sweetheart and built a life coaching the next generation of gridiron warriors. They didn't know the half of it, or the whole for that matter. We pulled into the parking lot of the high school stadium, the same cracked asphalt where I'd parked with forbidden hands fumbling in the shadows all those years ago. Families were spilling out of minivans and sedans, dads in polo shirts clapping sons on the back, moms dabbing at mascara-smudged eyes with tissues printed like tiny American flags. Jake grabbed his gown from the back seat, the black fabric whispering against the vinyl, and I followed him toward the gates, my own Letterman jacket slung over one shoulder like a relic from a war I never fully fought. The air buzzed with anticipation, the kind that hummed through your veins like pre-game adrenaline. Banners fluttered from the goalposts. "Class of 2025, soar like eagles," and the marching band was tuning up, brass notes clashing in joyful discord. Jake paused at the entrance, turning to me with that half-smile, the one that crinkled his eyes just like his mother's used to. "Sarah. Goal. I missed her." Cancer had taken her 3 years ago, swift as a blitz, leaving Jake and me to navigate this father-son limbo like 2 players short a full roster. "You good, Dad?" he asked, adjusting his tie, the rainbow pin glinting defiantly against the crisp white shirt beneath. I nodded, throat tight. "Proud as hell, kid. Let's get you that sheepskin." But as we wove through the throng, past Aunt Mabel fussing over her grandkids' corsages, Uncle Ray hollering about tailgate plans, something shifted. Whispers rippled like wind through the pines. Heads turned. Fingers pointed subtly at Jake's pin. That small enamel burst of color screaming louder than any touchdown yell. A few smiles, tentative and warm, from the younger crowd. But from the old guard, the boosters in their crimson ties, the alumni with their faded scars, came the narrowed eyes, the murmurs that slithered like sidewinders. "What's that boy got pinned on? Ain't right for a night like this." My fists clenched at my sides, the calluses from years of gripping pigskins suddenly feeling like weapons. I'd shielded Jake from this before, deflected the sideways glances at his school's GSA meetings, the snide comments from teammates who joke about fairies in the end zone. But tonight, on his night, no, not if I could help it. We found our seats in the bleachers, 3rd row up, close enough to feel the heat rising from the field. The principal droned through the preliminaries. Pledge, anthem, a prayer that invoked blessings on our young men and women stepping into God's plan. Jake sat ramrod straight, chin up, that pin like a badge of honor. I scanned the crowd, spotting familiar faces. Billy Hargrove, my old running back, now a used car salesman with a beer gut and a grin too wide. Lisa from the diner, who'd always slipped me extra bacon when Sarah was sick. And there, in the VIP section, Coach Harlan himself, silver hair gleaming under the floodlights, his whistle dangling like a noose. Then it was time. The graduates filed out, caps bobbing like buoys on a choppy sea, and Jake's name echoed over the speakers. Jacob Thomas Reynolds, summa cum laude, Future Leaders Scholarship recipient. He strode across the stage, gown swirling, and as he shook the principal's hand, the pin caught the light again. Unmissable, unapologetic. The applause was polite, scattered, but from our row, I hooped louder than anyone, my voice booming like a cannon. After, as the caps sailed into the twilight, Jake bounded down to me, diploma clutched like a talisman. That's when he leaned in, breath warm against my ear. "Dad, this is for you." His fingers brushed the lapel of my jacket, right over the embroidered eagle-eyed earned blocking for the win against Auburn Prep. And in that touch, something unlocked. A floodgate I'd welded shut since senior year. The after-party was at the community center. A squat brick building decked out with string lights and folding tables groaning under potluck spreads. Deviled eggs, pecan pie, vats of sweet tea sweating condensation. Jake was the star, of course, hugs from cousins, backslaps from friends, even a shy kiss on the cheek from his boyfriend. Alex, a soft-spoken kid from the debate team with wire-rimmed glasses and a laugh that lit up rooms. I hung back by the punch bowl, nursing a plastic cup of spiked lemonade, watching Jake navigate the room like a pro. He was out, proud, everything I'd never been at his age. But the pin, it drew eyes. Mrs. Whitaker, the Sunday school teacher, sidled up with a cluck of her tongue. "Jake, honey, that's colorful. You know what the good book says about rainbows after the flood." Jake's jaw tightened, but he smiled, that Reynolds steel kicking in. "Ma'am, this rainbow's about promise, not judgment. Promise of a better tomorrow." She blinked, flustered, and scurried off. I stepped forward then, clapping a hand on her shoulder. "Evening, Mrs. W. Jake's just celebrating the spectrum of God's creation. Pass the ham, would ya?" She handed over the platter with a huff, but the moment lingered, a microcosm of the battles we'd face. As the night wore on, folks drifted into clusters, stories of glory days, toasts to futures bright as fireflies. Jake pulled me aside near the dessert table, his eyes searching mine. "Dad, you see how they're looking? It's okay. I chose this. For me. And for you too, I think." My heart stuttered. "What do you mean, son?" He hesitated, glancing at Alex across the room, who was animatedly discussing college apps with a group of grads. "Mom told me stories about high school. You and him, the one you never talk about, said you deserved better than hiding." The room tilted. Sarah, of course she'd known. We'd married young, her with her gentle grace and me with my armored heart, building a life on the solid ground of companionship rather than fireworks. She'd loved me fiercely, flaws and all, and in quiet nights after chemo, she'd coax out fragments, the ache I'd carried since 18. But Jake knowing? That was a touchdown pass I hadn't thrown. I swallowed hard, the lemonade turning sour in my gut. "Your mom was a saint, but that's ancient history, Jake. Tonight's your night." He shook his head, that pin winking like an accusation. "History's why I'm wearing this, Dad. To rewrite it." The drive home was quiet, the highway unspooling under headlights like a reel of faded film. Jake dozed against the window, his breathing steady, while I gripped the wheel, mind racing back to 85. Fairhope High, that sweltering September when Coach Harlan had barked us into shape for the season opener. I'd been the golden boy. Tommy Reynolds, 6'2", arm like a rocket, dreams of Tuscaloosa scholarships dancing in my head. Football was my religion, the field my confessional. And then there was Ethan. Ethan Caldwell, transfer from Birmingham, with hair the color of wet sand and eyes that held the Gulf's stormy blue. He was the new wide receiver, all lean muscle and quiet intensity, the kind of player who read routes like poetry. We clicked from day one, him streaking downfield, me threading needles through defenses. Practices blurred into evenings at the quarry, skipping rocks and sharing cokes, talking dreams bigger than our dirt road town. It started innocent. A brush of shoulders in the huddle, laughter echoing off the bleachers. But by homecoming, it was everything. Stolen glances in the locker room, the steam from showers thick as secrets. One night, after we'd crushed Daphne 28-7, we drove out to Dauphin Island. The truck bed loaded with stolen beers from my dad's cooler. The waves crashed like applause, and under a blanket of stars, Ethan's hand found mine. "Tommy," he murmured, voice rough as sea glass. "This feels right, doesn't it?" It did. God, it did. His lips on mine tasted like salt and possibility, his touch unraveling the knots I tied around my soul. We were invincible, two boys rewriting the rules of the game. But small towns have long memories and short fuses. Whispers started. Caldwell's too pretty for football. Reynolds hanging with that city boy? Coach noticed, pulling me aside after film study. "Son, distractions lose championships. Keep your head in the playbook." I nodded, shame coiling like a fumble in my chest. But Ethan, he was fire. "Screw him, Tommy. We're us. That's the win." Until it wasn't. The betrayal hit like a blindside tackle 2 weeks before playoffs. We'd snuck into the equipment shed after curfew, the air heavy with the musk of leather and liniment, our breaths mingling in frantic whispers. Ethan's hands were everywhere, tangling in my hair, tracing the ridges of my abs earned from endless crunches, and I was lost, whispering promises against his neck that we'd run away after graduation, chase scholarships to the same college, build a life where love wasn't a penalty flag. But the door creaked, and there stood Billy Hargrove, my best friend since Pee Wee League, flashlight beam cutting through the dark like Judgment Day. His face twisted, shock, disgust, something darker. "What the fuck, Tommy?" "With him." Ethan froze, pulling away, but I lunged forward, desperation clawing my throat. "Billy, it's not—" "Wait, man, please." He backed out, slamming the door, the echo ringing like a final whistle. By morning, the team knew. Not the truth, of course. Billy spun it as Ethan seducing me, the outsider corrupting the star. Locker room turned inferno. Towels snapped at Ethan's back, slurs scrawled on his stall. "Fag out." Coach hauled us in separately. To me, "Clean this up, Reynolds, or you're benched." To Ethan, "Pack your bags, son." Schools expelling transfers who caused trouble. Ethan vanished that afternoon, his locker cleared out like a ghosted play. I drove to his aunt's trailer, pounding the flimsy door until my knuckles bled. "Fight it, Ethan. We fight together." He appeared in the screen, eyes hollowed, a duffel slung over his shoulder. "Can't, Tommy. They called my dad. He's shipping me back to Birmingham. Says I'm an embarrassment." His voice cracked, and he gripped the frame like it was me. "I love you, but love here's a losing season." I begged, pleaded, offered to come out, to quit the team, anything. But he shook his head, tears carving tracks down his dust-streaked cheeks. "Don't throw your life for a ghost. Be the hero they want. I'll carry this," he tapped his chest. "And wait for your signal." The kiss through the screen was barbed wire, tearing us both. Then he was gone, taillights fading into the marsh mist. I played that playoff game like a man possessed, 3 touchdowns, state semis berth, but every spiral I threw arced like a goodbye. Coach slapped my back post-game. "That's my boy, Iron Reynolds. Unbreakable. Unbreakable." The word became my cage. I buried Ethan deep, like a fumbled ball in the mud. Senior prom, I took Sarah Jenkins, the cheer captain with the laugh like wind chimes and eyes that forgave before you sinned. She knew, somehow, from the way I'd zone out during slow dances, staring at the punch bowl like it held absolution. "Tommy," she'd say, squeezing my hand, "whatever it is, we face it as a team." We married right after graduation. Her in a lace gown that smelled of magnolias. Me in a rented tux that chafed like regret. The reception was at the VFW hall, beer flowing freer than tears, and as we cut the cake, I scanned the crowd for a flash of sandy hair. Nothing. Just Billy, raising a toast with a smirk that said he'd won the line of scrimmage. Life settled into its rhythm. Coaching at Fairhope, Sarah teaching 3rd grade, Jake arriving like a Hail Mary in year 3. A squalling bundle who latched onto my finger with a grip that said, "You're mine." I poured everything into him: t-ball games, backyard catches, bedtime stories of underdog victories. Sarah and I, we had love solid as oak, the kind that weathers hurricanes. She'd hold me on anniversaries of Ethan's disappearance, never pressing, just being there. "You're enough, Tommy," she'd murmur. "For me, for us." But the shadows lingered. Jake's first GSA poster on the fridge, a rainbow flag waving proud, had me flashing back to that shed, the beam of betrayal. I'd supported him fiercely, driving him to meetings in Mobile, glaring down any hecklers at the diner. Yet part of me, the buried quarterback, whispered, what if you hadn't hidden? What if? Back in the present, as Jake's graduation party wound down, those whispers turned to thunder. We'd piled into the truck with Alex tagging along, the 3 of us laughing over inside jokes about debate club drama. But halfway home, Jake's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. He read it, face paling, and passed it to me at the next red light. "Heard about your pin, fairy boy. Keep it up," and Reynolds' name goes down in flames. A friend. My blood iced. Billy. Had to be. Or one of his cronies. Echoes of the past refusing to fade. "Ignore it, son," I growled, deleting the thread. But Jake's eyes met mine in the rear view, fierce and frightened. "Dad, this is why I wore it. To end the hiding. For both of us." Alex squeezed his hand. A silent play call. I nodded, jaw set. Then we play to win. The next morning dawned sticky. The kind of Gulf Coast heat that clings like guilt. I dropped Jake and Alex at the beach for a graduation getaway. Code for holding hands without stairs, and headed to the high school for summer weights. Coaching was my anchor, the whistle my lifeline. But as I taped ankles and barked reps, Coach Harlan cornered me in the weight room, his face creased like old leather. "Tommy," words circulating. "About your boy. That pin, folks are uneasy. Booster meeting tonight. Might need to address it." My pulse thrummed like a 2-minute drill. Address what, coach? My son's achievements? Or the fact he loves who he loves? Harlan shifted, uncomfortable in his whistle's weight. Times change, but traditions. You know how it is. Small town. Sponsors. We can't. Can't what? I stepped closer, voice low thunder. Bench him like you did Ethan Caldwell back in '85? For being different. His eyes widened, color draining. "Ethan? That was," Billy said. Billy lied. The words exploded, decades of scrimmage lines collapsing. And I let him, hid like a coward. But not anymore. Jake's proud. And damn it, so am I. I stormed out, the door banging like a gun. The field stretched before me, empty and vast, ghosts of spirals passed hanging in the air. I pulled out my phone, fingers flying to a number I hadn't dialed since Sarah's funeral. Ethan's old line, transferred, maybe, or just a Hail Mary. It rang. Once. Twice. Then, "Tommy." That voice, roughened by years, but still sea-glass sharp. My knees buckled against the goalpost. "Ethan. God. It's you." Laughter watery. "Heard about the pin. Small towns talk. Your boy's got guts." We talked for hours, him in Atlanta now, a graphic designer with a partner named Mark. Me spilling the shed, the marriage, the voids. "I waited for your signal," he said softly. "But life called audibles." "Forgive me," I whispered. "Already did, quarterback. Question is, can you?" By dusk I'd made calls. Booster meeting? Crash it. Jake's threat? Trace it. But first, I drove to the beach, finding Jake and Alex building sandcastles under the pier, rainbows in the spray. "Boys," I said, dropping beside them, "we're going public. All of it." Jake's grin was pure victory. "About time, Dad." The booster meeting that night was a powder keg in the fellowship hall. Folding chairs scraped on linoleum, coffee breath thick as suspicion. 20 men, faces etched with the lines of lost seasons, eyed me as I strode in late, Jake at my side, Alex waiting in the truck. Harlan cleared his throat from the head table. "Tommy, we were just discussing optics. For the program. Optics. I laughed, bitter as chicory. Like pretending my son's not gay? Or that I wasn't once upon a field? Gasps rippled. Billy Hargrove, paunchier now, leaned forward. What are you on about, Reynolds? That old rumor. No rumor, Billy. I locked eyes with him, the shed's beam reborn. You caught me with Ethan. And you buried us to save your precious team. Murmurs erupted. Harlan pounded the table. Enough. This ain't. It is. Jake cut in, voice steady as a snap count. Dad hid for you all. For this town. But I'm not hiding. And neither is he. The room fractured. Some nodding, eyes softening. Others storming out, chairs toppling. Billy stayed, face ashen. Tommy, I was scared. For you. For us. Scared's no excuse, I said, but extended a hand. But forgiveness is a new play. He took it, grip weak. Harlan sighed. We'll weather it, boys. Team first, real team. Outside, under sodium lamps, Jake hugged me fierce. You did it, Dad. We did. But the threats didn't stop. Texts escalated, pins cute. Too bad your old man's got skeletons. Then a brick through our living room window. Fags out scrawled in red. Jake wanted to call the cops. I wanted to call Ethan. Instead, we fortified deadbolts, neighborhood watches, and a town hall Jake organized with the GSA. Climax brewed at the 4th of July parade. Fairhope's crown jewel. Floats of cotton kings, fire trucks blaring. The whole town marching down Church Street in red, white, and blue fever. Jake and Alex planned a float. A rainbow-wrapped Jeep with pride in our pride banners. I was to drive. Letterman jacket traded for a t-shirt reading, Ally since '85. Crowds lined the route, kids on shoulders waving sparklers. We rolled out last, engine rumbling like resolve. Cheers at first, curious then warm. But midway, near the Baptist church, a knot of protesters. Signs thrusting God hates sin, led by Mrs. Whitaker and Billy? No, his son, a burly lineman with my old number 12 jersey. Turn back! They chanted, spilling into the street. Brakes screeched, horns blared. A bottle sailed, shattering on our hood, glass shards like shrapnel. Stay down, I yelled, shielding Jake as I gunned the engine. But the Jeep fishtailed, protesters swarming. Fists pounded metal. Slurs flew thicker than confetti. Then, a roar from the sidelines. Coach Harlan, megaphone in hand, barreling through with alumni in tow. Clear the way. This is Fairhope, room for all. Billy's boy lunged, grabbing Jake's door. I floored it, but not before seeing Ethan's face in the crowd. He'd driven down, surprise guest, eyes locked on mine like downfield receivers. The scuffle broke as sirens wailed. Cops dispersed the mob. We limped to the end zone. The park, where the crowd enveloped us not with pitchforks but hugs. Harlan clasped my shoulder. You called the audible, Tommy. Hell of a game. Ethan pulled me aside by the oak trees, Spanish moss draping like old veils. Proud of you, he said, and the kiss, chaste on the cheek, was closure wrapped in what-ifs. Jake, bandaging a cut on Alex's hand, grinned through tears. We won, Dad. Not every battle, but enough. Summer blurred into a montage of mending. Town hall apologies. Billy's boy suspended from the team with a mandatory ally workshop. Mrs. Whitaker mailing Jake a quilt stitched with rainbow threads. For the promises we broke. Ethan stayed a week, crashing on our couch. The three of us. Me, him, Jake. Fishing off the pier at dawn. Rods dipping in sink as stories flowed freer than the tide. Mark sends his love? Ethan said one morning, reeling in a speckled trout. Says we should have met sooner. Jake cast his line. The plop echoing soft. You too. Ever think about, second chances? Ethan and I exchanged glances, the Gulf breeze ruffling our hairlines. Grayer now, but still sandy for him. Life's not a redo button, kid, I said. But it's got sequels. He left with a hug that lingered, promising Atlanta visits. Maybe a design gig for the school's new Pride Center. Watching his taillights fade, I felt the weight lift. Not gone, but lighter, like trading shoulder pads for street clothes. Jake dove into college prep, UAB on a partial ride, majoring in social work, Alex tagging along for pre-med. Our house echoed emptier, but fuller too. Walls papered with GSA flyers, fridge stocked with his boyfriend's favorite energy drinks. Nights, we'd grill burgers on the back porch, fireflies winking approval as Jake probed gently. Dad, tell me about Ethan. The real story. I'd start halting, then pour it out. The quarry laughs, the shed steam, the island stars. Love like that, I said one evening, flipping patties. It's a Hail Mary. You throw it, hoping someone's open. He nodded, eyes on the flames. Mom caught it, didn't she? Every day. Tears stung, but I let them fall. Sarah would have loved this, our unarmored hearts. Fall brought football season, my last as head coach. Harlan nudged retirement. I was ready. The opener against Daphne loomed. A rematch 40 years in the making. I gathered the team pregame. Fresh faces, hungry eyes. In the locker room that smelled eternally of Benghazi and ambition. Listen up, I barked, but softer than Harlan's style. Football's more than yards. It's heart, guts, loving your brother enough to block for him, even when the hit's coming. Eyes shifted. Whispers about Coach Reynolds' kid had circulated. I unbuttoned my polo, revealing a small rainbow patch sewn inside the collar. Jake's graduation gift. This mine too, was once. Hit it to win games. But real wins? They're off the field. In the stands with family. With truth. A beat of silence. Then applause. Thunderous. Unifying. We took the field that night under Friday lights. The stadium packed with ghosts and grace. Jake and Alex cheered from the bleachers. Rainbow flags waving beside Roll Tide banners. Halftime, down 14-10, I called a trick play. Flea flicker, risky as coming out. The QB hesitated. I clapped his helmet. Trust it. Trust us. The ball flipped, spiral true, touchdown. Crowd erupted, barriers blurring. Straight fans hugging gay allies, black and white jerseys mingling seamless. We won 28-21, post-game handshakes extending to the field, where Jake vaulted the rail. Knew you'd audible, Dad. Postseason blurred. Semis glory, finals heartbreak. A fumble in the red zone, clock ticking merciless. But in the locker room, tears weren't defeat. They were release. Y'all are champions. I told them, voice thick. Wear your pride, on or off the field. Word spread. Invites trickled. Guest speaker at Mobile Pride. Panel on sports and sexuality at a Birmingham conference. I demurred at first. I'm no activist, just a dad. But Jake pushed. You're the story, Dad. Tell it. So I did. That first speech, palms slick as pregame jitters. I stood before a room of rainbow wristbands and earnest faces. I hid my pride in school sports. I began, echoing the pin's echo. Buried it under touchdowns and trophies. Until my son wore this, holding up the enamel circle. And said, enough. Applause washed over me, but the Real win was the letters after. A closeted coach from Tuscaloosa. Your words gave me the huddle talk I needed. A dad from Montgomery. My boys' pin matches now. Winter settled gentle. Christmas lights twinkling on porches like hesitant stars. Jake and Alex hosted a coming-out dinner. Ironic, since they'd beaten me to it. Inviting Ethan, Mark, even Billy and his family. The table groaned. Turducken, cornbread dressing, pecan pie, Sarah's recipe. Toasts clinked. To second chances, to fields unfumbled. Billy pulled me aside by the eggnog. Tommy, about 85. I was wrong. Scared kid in a man's game. I clapped his back. We all were. But look at us, still playing. New Year's, Jake dropped the bomb over black-eyed peas. Alex and I were moving to Atlanta after graduation. Grad school together. My chest tightened. Empty nest loomed, but joy edged the ache. Proud son. Throw that pass. He grinned. Only if you're visiting. Often. Spring unfurled. Azaleas blooming riotous along the bay. My retirement party was fieldside, bonfire crackling, alumni grilling ribs. Harlan handed me a plaque. Iron Reynolds, heart of the game. And in his toast, he choked up, "Tommy taught us winning's not the score. It's the soul." Jake emceed, Alex beaming beside him. Dad hid his pride once. Now, he's our rainbow. Cheers rose, and as embers danced skyward, Ethan appeared. Unannounced, arms open. "Thought you'd need a receiver for this one." We talked till dawn, porch swing creaking, stars wheeling overhead. "What now?" he asked, voice soft as marsh wind. "Now, we live the sequel." Graduation week circled back, anniversaries layering like overtime. Jake walked again, this time college, cap tassel swinging, Alex whooping loudest. The pin? A tradition now, team issued for allies. As he crossed the stage, our eyes locked, his sparkling mind clear. Post-ceremony, under the oaks he hugged me fierce. "Love you, Dad, for hiding, for unhiding. Love you more, kid. That's the forever play." And as the sun dipped, painting the world in prismatic light, I knew. Betrayals heal, conflicts crest, but love, the deep, humanistic kind, endures. Not always tidy, not always triumphant, but always, in the end, a win worth wearing proud. Actually, upon review, the story needs more build-up. Insert deeper betrayal layer. Rewind. After the parade clash, tensions simmer. Billy's involvement revealed as coerced by old grudge, his own hidden regrets. A deeper betrayal. Harlan knew about the shed all along, covered for team unity, forcing Ethan's exit. This escalates climax. Confrontation at Harlan's office, emotional showdown where I resign dramatically, but he confesses his own past. Bisexual, married to cover, widowed like me. Humanistic turn. We bond over shared hiding, he becomes ally, funds pride initiatives. Romantic depth. Flashbacks to Ethan intensify. Letters unsent, dreams recurring. Present. A chaste, emotional reunion kiss? No, keep non-18 plus. Instead, a dance at a town event, symbolic. Extend emotional arcs. Jake's internal conflict, fearing he'll lose friends like I lost Ethan. My guilt over Sarah, wondering if our marriage was settling. By K tragic element. Perhaps a minor character, a teammate's kid, faces outing backlash, suicide attempt, drives home stakes, leads to community healing. But keep positive humanistic end. For files 4 to 5. Post-climax resolution, Jake's college send-off, my new chapter, perhaps writing a memoir or coaching LGBTQ youth league. Ethan visits for Jake's wedding years later, but timeline is 2025. Keep current. Since date is December 19th, 2025. Story in summer 2025. Expand wordage with descriptive American vignettes. Barbecue scenes, road trips, heartfelt dialogues. File 3 continued/restart for depth. No better. After the parade, the real storm brews. The bottle shards glittered on the Jeep's hood like fallen stars, mocking the fireworks that popped overhead in lazy arcs. Jake's hand trembled as he swept them into a paper towel. Alex murmuring comforts while I paced the park grass. Phone glued to my ear. Cops assuring routine vandalism. Harlan vowing full support. But support felt hollow as the cheers that had turned to chaos. Billy Hargrove sidled up, face flushed from the fray, his lineman's son trailing like a shadow. "Tommy, that wasn't me. Swear it. Kid here's hot-headed." But the boy, Travis, 17 and built like a fridge, muttered, "Dad's right. Protesters dragged me in. Said it'd toughen me." I eyed them, the old wound throbbing. "Toughen? Like you toughened Ethan out of town." Billy winced. "Still carrying that, huh? Like a bad knee." I snapped. "What did you tell him, Billy?" "After the shed." He glanced away, fireworks reflecting in his eyes. "Told him to leave it buried. But Harlan knew Tommy. Called me that night. Said to spin it as Ethan starting fights. Keep you playing. For the ring." Harlan, the whistle around my neck suddenly choked. "He covered it." Billy nodded, shame etching deeper lines. "Said teams win with secrets." I went along. Coward shit. Rage boiled, but Jake's hand on my arm cooled it. "Dad, let's go home. Fight tomorrow." We did. The drive silent save for Alex's soft humming. A lullaby for frayed nerves. That night, sleep evaded. I tossed in Sarah's side of the bed, her pillow still faintly lavender. Dreams tangled. Ethan's laugh merging with Jake's voice, Harlan's whistle blowing fouls on my heart. Dawn brought coffee black as resolve. I marched to the high school, Harlan's office door ajar, him hunched over scouting tapes. "Coach," I said, voice steady as a long count. "We talk. Now." He looked up, lines sagging. "Tommy. About last night. About 85. I shut the door, leaning on it like a goal line stand. "Billy told. You knew. And you buried us." Silence stretched, thick as fog. Then, "Guilty." He stood, pacing to the window overlooking the empty field. "Saw you two in the stands once weeks before, holding hands under the bleachers. Thought it was puppy love. Then the shed rumor hit and panicked. State title on the line. Your arm the key. So I called Billy, shaped the story. Ethan had to go for the greater good." "Greater good." I laughed, hollow. "You sacrificed a kid's future for a trophy?" He turned, eyes wet. "Not just that. Me, Tommy. I hid too." The confession spilled. Young Harlan, college wrestler at Auburn, tangled with a teammate after a meet. Passion swift, regret swifter. Married his fiancée to straighten up. Buried the urges under coaching manuals. Wife knew. Loved me anyway. Died 10 years back, same as Sarah. Left me wondering. What if I'd thrown the flag on myself first? The room spun. "My mentor, my mirror." "Why tell now?" Jake's pin. "Your fire. Time to audible, son." We talked till lunch, raw, unfiltered. He confessed pulling strings for Ethan's quick exit, even tipping the school board. I raged, wept, forgave in fits. "Resign," I said finally. "Or I do. Public." He nodded. "Both. Joint presser. Pride Initiative scholarships for LGBTQ kids in sports. My dime." Word spread like wildfire through dry palmetto. Resignation hit the local paper. Fairhope coaches stepped down for new era of inclusion. Backlash flared. Letters to the editor decrying woke agendas. A few eggs on my truck, but support swelled. Alumni donations. A rival coach from Mobile offering me assistant gig at his inclusive program. Jake, home from UAB orientation, hugged Harlan at our next barbecue. "Takes guts to fumble forward. Coach." Harlan chuckled, flipping burgers. "Learned from the best." But betrayal's echo lingered. A week later, Travis Hargrove showed at our door, eyes downcast. "Coach Reynolds, Dad said talk to you. About the protest." I pushed that bottle. Thought it'd make me man up. Like the stories about you and that Caldwell guy. My heart sank. "Stories twist, Travis. Truth? Love's not the enemy. Hiding is." He nodded, voice cracking. "I'm like Jake. Maybe. Scared shitless." Jake stepped up, slinging an arm around him. "Join the club, man. We got jerseys." That night, over s'mores by the fire pit, Travis opened up. Crushes on teammates. Prayers for normalcy. Alex shared coming out war stories. Ethan, on speaker from Atlanta, joked about wide receivers with wide hearts. By midnight, Travis pinned a borrowed rainbow sticker to his cap, tentative smile breaking through. Tragedy shadowed, though. 2 towns over, a gay teen from a rival school, out since freshman year, faced similar mobs after a parade stunt. Bullied online, whispers turned to isolation. He swallowed pills in his garage, found too late. The news hit like a safety stealing breath. Jake wept in my arms. What if that's us? What if the pin wasn't enough? I held him, rocking like when he was small. It is enough, son, because we fight. For him. For all. We attended the vigil. Candlelight flickering on faces etched with grief. Speakers sharing his love for soccer. His sketches of fantastical worlds. I spoke unscripted. I hid once. Let fear bench a boy I loved. Won't let it score again. Applause rippled, but the whole remained. A reminder that humanistic ends demand constant plays. Summer waned, Jake's UAB move looming. We road-tripped the Gulf Coast, Stops at Gulf Shores for crab boils, Pensacola for lighthouse climbs, each mile peeling layers. In a Biloxi motel, neon buzzing outside, Jake asked about Sarah. Was it fair? To her. I stared at the ceiling fan's whirl. We chose each other. Knew the scores. She said once, Tommy, love's not perfect formation. It's adjusting on the fly. He squeezed my hand. She'd love Alex. And Ethan. A laugh escaped. She did. Met him at a fundraiser post-diagnosis. Called him your unfinished pass. College drop-off was a blur. Dorm unpacked, posters tacked, rainbow flag prominent, tearful hugs in the parking lot. Call every day, Jake teased, but his eyes shone serious. Every hour, I promised, driving away with the radio crooning Springsteen. Thunder Road, anthems for open roads and open hearts. Back home, emptiness echoed, but purpose filled it. Harlan and I launched the Pride Playbook, workshops for coaches on allyship, funded by his savings and booster buy-in. First session. Billy as guest, sharing his regrets. Travis as panelist, voice gaining strength. Ethan designed the logo, a football spiraling into a rainbow arc. Fall leaves turned. Football Saturdays bittersweet from afar. I visited UAB games, cheering Jake in the stands with Alex's family, blended now, seamless. One tailgate, Ethan joined, Mark in tow, for of us grilling wings under autumn sun. Sequel's good, Ethan said, clinking bottles. Better than the original, I replied, and meant it. Thanksgiving brought everyone. Harlan carving turkey. Travis home from camp. LGBTQ sports league. My pitch. Jake announcing internship at an Atlanta advocacy group. Toasts to audibles and allies. Winter solstice neared. Date ticking to December 25. Jake called. Dad, Christmas gift early. Flying you up. Ethan's got a surprise. Atlanta glittered. Skyline sharp against December gray. They picked me at the airport. Jake driving. Alex navigating. Ethan waving from the curb. Dinner at their loft. Skyline views. Pasta al dente. Laughter flowing. Then Ethan handed an envelope, yellowed with age. Found these in my attic. Mailed, but returned. To you. My hands shook opening them. Letters from 85. Ethan's script looping like waves. Miss you on the field, off it more. Wait for my signal. Dozens. Unsent pleas spanning years. Until one postmark 03. Heard about your boy. Congrats, Dad. Still love ya. Tears blurred ink. You kept writing. Never stopped throwing. That night, snow dusting the city. Rare southern magic. We walked Piedmont Park, paths lit by lanterns. Jake and Alex ahead, hands linked. Ethan and I trailing, shoulders brushing. What now? I asked, breath fogging. Now, we catch up. A bench by the lake, stars pricking velvet sky. His hand covered mine, warm, familiar. No fireworks, just quiet ignition. Sarah would have insisted, I murmured. He smiled. She did. In spirit. New Year's Eve, confetti rained in Times Square on TV. But our party was porch-bound. Harlan, Billy, Travis, the loft crew via Zoom. Countdown hit 0, hugs circled. Jake pulled me close. Best year, Dad. Unhidden. Humanistic close. Not fairy tale, but earned, scars faded, pride's pinned. I took the UAB assistant job, coaching with Harlan as consultant. Jake thrived, Alex too. Ethan and I? Letters now sent, visits planned, friends. Perhaps more in time's wide receiver. Life's no perfect game. But with love's playbook open, every down's a chance to score true. Epilogue threads wove loose ends into tapestry. Spring 26 bloomed with Jake's UAB graduation. Irony sweet, cap and gown redux. I drove up alone this time, Ethan shotgun. Our playlist a mix of 80s rock and queer anthems. Bowie to Brandy Carlisle. Nervous? He asked, hand on my knee at a stoplight. Like pre-game jitters, I admitted. But good ones. Campus thrummed. Families in Sunday best. Balloons bobbing. The arena echoing with names. Jake crossed stage to pomp and circumstance laced with pride. His pin now a locket, Photo inside of Sarah smiling. Diploma in hand, he bounded to us, Alex lifting him in a spin hug. We did it. Dinner at a soul food spot, collards, cornbread, catfish crisp. Talk turned legacies. Dad, Jake said, fork pausing. You're writing that book, right? The one about the pin. I'd started it winters past, scribbles in a spiral notebook. He hid his pride. Full circle. Yeah. Ethan's illustrating. Ethan grinned. Chapter 1's got that shed scene, tasteful shadows. Laughter bubbled, but depth followed. Travis, now a freshman walk-on at UAB, joined via video, jersey rainbow trimmed, thanks to Harlan's grant. Coach Reynolds, your playbook saved my ass. Literally. Team effort, kid. Postgrad, Jake and Alex landed in Atlanta proper. Nonprofit for queer youth, clinic for underserved. Visits became ritual. Monthly brunches, Ethan's loft for game nights, Mark's dry with the wild card. My UAB role bloomed, assistant to a head coach who'd come out mid-season. Our practice's mantra, play your truth. One sticky July, Harlan called, Tommy, got a proposition. Fairhope's starting a youth league, LGBTQ focus. You in? I paused, porch swing creaking, Gulf breeze salt-laced. Ethan, visiting, raised a brow. Say yes. Sequel needs chapters. We did. First practice. 20 kids, ages 8 to 14, balls bouncing chaotic joy. A shy boy with braids clutched a soccer ball like a shield. I knelt. What's your name, champ? Leo. I'm gay. Mom says it's okay here. More than okay. It's home field. By season's end, we went undefeated. Not scores, but spirits. Awards banquet under strung lights. Leo pinned his first rainbow on me. For you, Coach Tommy. Tears pricked. Ethan in the crowd winked. Years layered. Jake's wedding to Alex. Small affair on Dauphin Island. Waves crashing hallelujahs. Sarah's ring passed to Jake for the vows. I walked him down the aisle of driftwood. Ethan best man opposite. You too, I toasted, glass raised, are the win I fumbled toward. Cheers, cake. First dance to it last. Edda's voice velvet over surf. Later, bonfire crackling. Ethan and I strolled the shore, barefoot in foam. Regrets? He asked. None left, I said, lacing fingers. Just gratitude. Biquet thread wove gentle. Our romance rekindled slow. Dinners, drives, a first kiss under island stars, tender as redemption. No rush. Time was our ally now. Mark understood, their partnership open-hearted. We four became family, blurred lines beautiful. Tragedy revisited once more. A former protester, Mrs. Whitaker, door knock contrite. Cancer, she whispered, frail in her shawl. Regretting sins. Can I meet Jake? Apologize? We did, porch tea steaming. Her words. That quilt? My mending. Forgive an old fool. Jake hugged her. Already did, ma'am. Rainbows promise that. She passed peaceful bequest to our league. For the colors I dimmed. Humanistic arc crested there. Forgiveness not erasure, but bridge. Book published to quiet acclaim. He hid his pride. Bestseller in niche circles. Forward by Harlan. Audible's Change Games. By December 25's Echo, wait. No, years on. I sat on my porch, gray fully claimed, watching sunsets gild the bay. Jake, Alex, their adopted daughter, a curly-topped firecracker named Riley, visited often, her giggles chasing ghosts. Ethan beside me, hand in mine, whistle retired to a drawer. Best play, he murmured. I smiled, rainbow pin on my collar catching last light. This one, every day. And in America's heartland heart, where sports once hid souls, pride now played open field, dramatic, gay-capped, eternally romantic.